about them as well. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and go to Rich now.
Time they didn't spend, I'll take it.
The clock is on.
If you look at our current situation, we have to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. Everyone agrees that's a national goal. We have to reduce greenhouse gases. We have to reduce urban emissions. We have to do it cost effectively. Unfortunately, and this is a key point that I keep making, there is no single silver bullet technology or fuel that's going to take over for petroleum. We have a lot of options: ethanol, propane, natural gas, electric vehicles, plug electric vehicles, hybrid vehicles, a lot of options, but we don't have choices. We have to use every one of those fuels and technologies in the applications and in the markets where they make the most sense. That's the only way we're going to make progress in the short term and in the midterm to displace foreign oil. Over the horizon, who knows what's over there? Maybe there's going to be a wonderful technology that's going to solve all our problems. I wouldn't bet on it, but it could happen. But in the meantime, we have to act today with what we have today. Now, natural gas, we believe, is the best technology in the high fuel use urban fleet vehicle markets. Natural gas produces less greenhouse gases, 22% less than diesel and 29% less than gasoline, and it's just sort of intuitive, because natural gas, mostly methane, it's CH4, 1 carbon, 4 hydrogen. It's the lowest carbon content of any fuel, other than hydrogen itself. So we reduce greenhouse gases. We reduce urban pollution quite a bit. Nitrogen oxides, particulate matter, CO, all the criteria pollutants. And natural gas is produced mostly in 98% of what we use in the United States is produced in North America. 95% is produced here. All but 3% is produced, the rest is produced in Canada. We do import a little LNG from around the world. The Department of Energy is forecasting that by 2030, 98% of what we use will be produced right here in North America. So we're a domestic fuel. So using natural gas displaces foreign oil 1-to-1. We're not blended. If you have a dedicated natural gas vehicle, you don't use any petroleum. And also, we're cost effective. Natural gas on average is about 40% less than gasoline and diesel. Final point I want to make is on supply. People say, "Oh my God, we use it for vehicles. Oh, we don't have it for homes." Nonsense. We have a huge, massive natural gas resource base in the United States. In the last few years, because of technology improvements, we've doubled the economic resource base of natural gas in the United States. Now we've got to have 115 years of supply at current technology in use. 115 years. And that doesn't count biomethane. You just heard a little bit about biomethane down there, that EPA is working on that. Biomethane is any methane gas you produce from organic matter. Sewage, landfill, animal waste. Nature produces it naturally. You just decay things without oxygen, and you generate methane. You got to clean it up, and out comes pipeline quality gas. And so we're seeing a lot of that growth in the United States, biomethane, to supplement any natural gas we need. And around the world, they're doing a ton of those projects. So we have the supply. We reduce greenhouse gases. And it's an American fuel, and we want to go after transit buses, school buses, trash trucks, urban delivery vehicles of all types, taxis, anybody that goes out during the day and works all day and then comes back to a common location. That's our market.
Great.
I guess if I had one thing, it'd be 1 and 1A. Basically, there seems to be a general feeling that what we need to do more than anything else is to get rid of corn ethanol and move to cellulosic ethanol. And I would say that if we truly need to move to the next generations of ethanol, we're going to need to keep the corn ethanol in place. basically what we've got a situation right now with plants that want to build cellulosic ethanol facilities. They're having trouble finding people to invest in them because what was the golden child 10 years ago was the current ethanol industry, and they see now that there are people that were champions of that industry that are saying, oh, we shouldn't be doing that now. And they're worried that if they put their money in the cellulosic ethanol industry, that they're going to turn their backs on that in 10 years also. Point 1B, 1A of that is that most of what you've heard about ethanol's impact on food prices is incorrect. Granted, when the ethanol program was started, one of our goals was to try and raise corn farmers' incomes beyond subsistence wages. Corn farmers have been working at below the minimum wage for a long, long time. And while nobody expected, and nobody will, I don't think we'll see anytime soon again, the $8 corn we saw on the mercantile exchange, or the Chicago Board of Trade last year, we did want corn to be better priced than the $1.10, the $1.20 per bushel that we saw for the last 20 years. Farmers are growing more corn, 40% more corn on the same acres they did 20 years ago. They're using 50% less fuel. We've gone from 20 years ago having an average of 80 bushels per acre to over 150 bushels per acre. And so corn has become more efficient. That being said, it's a self-leveling field there. What you've got is if corn prices get too high, ethanol plants can't afford it either. What you're seeing right now is that this spike in corn prices last year that was largely caused by people investing money in the CBOT the same way they did on oil prices, that drove many ethanol plants, and I'd say probably 20% of them, to where they're either bankrupt or on the verge of bankruptcy. Today, basically when you were hearing all this furor over food versus fuel last year, corn was trading on the Chicago Board of Trade for over $8, and oil was trading over $140 a barrel. And food companies said that's why our prices are so high. Corn is currently trading at $3.52, I believe it closed at last week. Crude oil closed at about $42 a barrel. Food companies have reported record profits, and your food prices are still high. We were the victims of somebody trying to find an excuse to raise food prices. We want corn to be around where it is right now. Maybe we can make money selling fuel at those numbers. Cattle farmers, for the largest extent, I think can make money with corn at about where it is right now. What we had last year was a completely money market-driven situation that isn't a reflection. And the final thing is when people talk about using food for fuel is something that intellectually makes a lot of people uneasy. But I will tell you that one of the other byproducts of us getting this corn price up to where it's at right now is that there are many nations. Last year, Stanford did a study that there were 1 billion acres of farmland idled, not stuff that you could turn into farmland, but 1 billion acres of farmland that were not being farmed throughout the world, primarily because the United States, South America, and Australia could produce corn and soybeans very cheap and ship it there. Last year, some nations in Africa and some in Europe began farming again because now it can be profitable for them. So if these prices are somewhat higher, where they are right now, basically more countries will be able to determine their own destiny and not be relying on other countries for their food. And ultimately, if they learn how to make ethanol, they won't have to rely so much on other countries for their fuel. So, I would just say make sure we get the whole picture on all of these things before we do it. And I will agree with the previous speaker that there is no silver bullet. The ethanol industry doesn't intend to replace all of the gas out there or all the oil out there. We can't do it. So there's a lot of options, and so I need to let some of those other options speak, I guess.
Yep, it's time. All right.
Thanks, Scott.